either your favorite book or the most transformative book that has had on your thinking. So 3 minutes, start now.
Michael, what's your favorite book?
I would have to say.
Gosh, that's an interesting question.
Huckleberry, no, not Huckleberry Finn. Yeah, Huckleberry Finn. How about you?
That was most. That
That was a really good book.
I read it when I was young. I was probably 13. Well, really got interested in space, which I think is what got me interested in like Star Wars, Star Trek. I probably read it. I haven't a paperback. I probably read it 4 times. It's a good book, and it still stands well today because it's scientific principles. Some things have been proven correct, like he references Einstein's principle of relativity and how it applies to gravitational mechanics and space, but he could not prove it then. But since then, we've had Hubble, and now we've had the JW. And actually proven a lot of things that he was proposing in the book. Just gotta go.
I think I was about 3 years older than you, 4 years older when I read Hawking's book, Brief History of Time. I've read that like 4 times. The first time I was a little shaky. The second time it kind of gelled with exactly everything, and then the third and fourth time I just got more meaning. But it was like, yeah, that was one of those books that was pretty pivotal. And I think I was 13 when I read, or 12 when I read Huckleberry Finn. It's just, you know, a little bit about how Americans used to think, but also about like this wonderful adventure, an instant adventure.
And it's actually written for a more mature child too. King takes on some adult-like situations, but it doesn't bring it into a child's perspective. So
some of it, you know, at 13, you didn't quite understand, but as you got older, you're like, wow, that's the meaning of that message, right?
yes, exactly. Love that.
That's how you got interested in Star Wars. I'm big into Star Trek since I was watching Sesame Street, then it was boring, and I switched the channel, and there was this other show on with phasers and spaceships, and that's how I got into Star Trek, probably at 6 years old. So I was, do you like Star Wars? Not Star Trek.
No, Star Wars.
Okay, I like Star Wars too. I can probably, you know, have a little bit too much in my head about Star Wars, but I have even more about Star Trek. So I would say I'm a heavier Star Trek fan.
Who's your favorite captain?
Captain? I would say Archer from the Enterprise series. Him, and I'm starting to like who's that lady in Discovery?
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Forgetting her name, but she was killed off early. I like that captain.
Yeah.
The captain of
I know who you're talking about.
that ship, her, and then lastly, Pike. Captain Pike. He's the Strange New Worlds. He's the captain of the series Strange New Worlds. So Strange New Worlds goes back 15 years before Star Trek.
I've never watched that series.
So those are the 3 I like. It's not a single answer.
Remember Battlestar Galactica?
Yeah, I do.
Oh,
Adama.
Yes.
He's awesome.
Yeah.
The second Adama, not the first.
Yes. I love that series too. I wish we could bring that back. Another one that another
The
movie,
2000s film? Yeah, that was really good.
one that really inspired me. Movie was Flash Gordon. The original Flash Gordon.
I never watched it. Did I just watch it?
Just watch it.
Okay.
It's horrible.
It's campy.
Cinegraphics. It's campy.
Yeah.
I mean, you could practically see the strings holding up the spaceship with the phasers going up around it. It's that bad graphic.
They should digitally update it.
They should.
Erase the wires.
They kind of did. Marvel took on the Marvel or DC. Whoever owns Flash took on that character, but they incorporated it into a movie, into another series. Hey, how you doing?
Hey,
Hi.
I don't think I'm really gonna be any good for this, but there's a possibility, and I can get it notarized here. If I have it notarized and done, that means I'm committed, right?
Well, the commitment is, whatever you do with it, they encourage you to talk to your neighbors and maybe knock on doors.
So the reason
The
I
other part
asked
of the
the
commitment
question
is-
is I'm very late to the game, but I just learned about our World
That
Library,
he would
Libby
have
Dupla,
like
and my favorite book of all time is it's called When Affirmative Action Was White. And it was a
And I
big
think you
holiday
should
for
get
me,
some
but it's
of
on Libby.
But
and
if it
most
keeps
books. So
going, that
get a
you
chance,
can
it's a wonderful
try
book
best.
about racial inequality
Okay.
and how policy created systemic
Up to you. The commitment is,
differentiation.
there's
It was
no
wonderful.
written commitment, there's no
Yes,
real law.
yeah, if you wanna give the
Can you
treasurer's
help,
report.
and then if there's ever an issue with the party, you know, your vote would count. That's kind of the other part of it.
Hi there,
Premium is probably the best
account deposit is $3,765.10, and the savings
And it just
account,
seemed
which is.
overwhelming when that girl presented it.
is only
She did more than anybody ever did.
$250.58.
Not a good person.
So for those who also knew, just to pay for the room, new events, we do ask if you become a member, it's $10 a year, it's very reasonable. But we also have a scholarship, so what we do is we reach out to high school seniors and we see what they want to do for their education. It could be trade, it could be activism, it could be college, but we offer scholarships. So if you want to donate to that, that is an option as well. One thing we're very excited about is our club is starting an internship program. So this is in partnership with Charlie's company, Product Innovations, as well as the OCDP. What's really great is the OCDP gave us $500. We're using that for the internship research project, and Charlie also gave $500 as well. So what Payton will do is introduce herself momentarily. Her goal is to figure out how we can engage more youth and grow the club very strategically. So Payton, if you want to introduce yourself and introduce yourself to the club.
And thank you all for your warm welcome today. I'm so excited to be here. So I'll just give a quick introduction about myself, my credentials, my background. So first, I'm a student at Oakland University. I'll be graduating this April with 2 bachelor's degrees in political science and social work, and I have a minor in criminal justice. So I have that background really researching law and policy through political science. But then I also have that experience working with people in that social work program. Right now, I'm actually at an agency where I work with adults with disabilities and help them with legal advocacy and social support services. So I'm really excited to combine both of those elements to help out the club. Additionally, I have done a lot of research in the field of political science and law. Right now, for my senior capstone class, I'm working on a research project where I'm investigating how the increase of restrictive voting laws by states has impacted voter turnout, and specifically youth voter turnout. And I'm finding that more restrictive voting laws has impacted voter turnout negatively, but it's impacting youth voter turnout even worse. Additionally, I have professional experience that I'll bring to this role. I'm a journalist at Oakland University, and I have been a journalist there for over 3 years. I'm the content editor there. So I've done a lot of writing and research in a lot of topics. I started out as a sports reporter, then transitioned to campus and politics. So I have background there talking to people about their political beliefs, their ideas, and college students and advocacy. And that led me to the opportunity to appear on national news through CBS, where I talked about college students and voting. So I can definitely send that link to the board members, so you all can review that and see what gets youth voters engaged for yourselves. So why did I decide to come to this internship? I thought it was an amazing opportunity, and I'm really passionate about youth civic engagement. So I worked with this program for over 6 years now called Michigan Youth Government. And if you don't know what that program is, it's essentially a civic engagement program for thousands of high school and middle school students throughout the state of Michigan, where we essentially kick out the state legislator and governor and judges out of Lansing for the weekend, and we put the students into the Capitol. They get to sit at the desk of all the state representatives, the senators, and we simulate our own mock government. So I help out with the mock trial program, and through that, I've helped a lot of young students recognize their passions for politics and civic engagement. So I'm really excited to bring that passion within the club. So moving forward, I have begun my research within the club, and I'm excited to look for areas of growth. And I'm going to start by interviewing the board members of the club just to get a sense of what the club is all about. So again, I thank you all for being here today, welcoming me, and if you have any questions for me or just want to chat, please feel free to find me. Great.
So for our main speaker, I'm very excited. So Bentley, beyond just being a wonderful person for the Michigan League of Conservation Voters, we worked together for many years in Senator Peters' office. So Bentley, I'll have you start and let you go.
Hey everyone, I am thrilled to be here. I am thrilled to be here, and my name is Bentley. I see a few familiar faces in the crowd. It's great to see some of you. But I am just thrilled to just network with you. It's no secret that Oakland County is ground zero, maybe for Michigan in terms of deciding elections and who's in the majority in the state legislature, but also for major national races. And as the federal government affairs director for Michigan League of Conservation Voters, really my role is to try to bring that federal, state, and local connection together, and really try to align as much of our policies and advocacy efforts so that we are creating positive change, we're creating progress, especially in the areas of protecting our land, air, and water, as well as protecting our democracy. And so, with my presentation today, I wanted to really emphasize the federal investments that are coming into Michigan, coming here locally, and how to talk about them in a way that really helps people understand the historic impact of especially the last 4 years of the Biden administration, but also how that aligns with what the state legislature has been able to do just in the last year and a half. And it's truly remarkable the scale of investment and the policy change that we've been able to create in Michigan, to the point where now we have 100% clean energy law that requires benchmarks for renewable energy. And we have hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars, coming into the state of Michigan to make all sorts of impacts, from changing our buildings and reducing our carbon footprint of our buildings, to giving communities more tools to do solar projects, to prepare for the impacts of climate change, to reduce the threats of flooding, to strengthen our grid, to prevent power outages, because that's been awful in Michigan. We pay some of the highest rates for some of the worst service in the Midwest. And so these things are starting to line up, but we're noticing that people don't know about them. And so my presentation there are some details here. I know you can all handle it. I'm going to skip over some of those details, but rest assured, you can talk to me, I'll follow up. I can provide all the detail you want. What I'd like to focus in on is a few of the ways to talk about it, a few of the exciting things that are being rolled out, that are available now and are being rolled out later to help homes become more energy efficient and help people save money on their energy costs. And then save a lot of time just for your questions. And really the questions can be on anything related to the environment, issues. I worked on PFAS, toxic PFAS contamination issues for Michigan League of Conservation voters, Great Lakes issues, from anything from invasive carp to the Line 5 pipeline, to the importance of you know, water funding generally, and we can just have a discussion too. So, and I'm gonna try to do this where I have my notes in front of me and let's see. Yeah, that's working. So there's a lot of text on here, but the takeaway is that the Inflation Reduction Act is the largest investment in climate and clean energy in the country's history. And that's incredibly significant. I mean, we're talking close to $370 billion in funding being implemented across the government. And that's funding going to current programs, going through the states, going through local governments, and new programs and new tax incentives and new rebates that are coming. And so there are these, I just want to draw your attention, there are these 5 buckets of funding that really make up the Inflation Reduction Act. And don't feel like you have to master this, but I want to give you some of this detail so that you can really go out and talk about it and help people understand, because it really moves support for the president and for what Democrats have done. And I should say Michigan LCV is nonpartisan, but we're unabashedly political. And we've seen Democrats be our strongest champions on the environment, on democracy. And so we go very hard in the paint for support of our endorsed champions, the vast majority of whom are Democrats. So the buckets of funding: home energy rebates and tax credits, environmental justice and community change grants, the greenhouse gas reduction fund, a big piece was just announced this week by the Biden administration, climate pollution reduction grants, which local government is involved in a plan that hopefully will get fully funded, and clean electricity tax credits. Again, I'm going to focus on a couple of these more than others, and I'll for the sake of time. So the one that I do want to focus on, because it's really exciting, is the home energy rebates and tax credits. And the tax credits are available now. So we're in tax season. And if you've done any energy efficiency projects, from insulation to a new heat pump, to a new heat pump water heater, to solar on your house in the last year, you could be getting a bigger refund this year. And if you have questions about that, I'm happy to answer it on a personal level. But those tax credits are available now. We've got rebates coming from the state of Michigan later this year. And actually there's a local program that I don't know if you all heard about called Oakland Saves. And that was announced just at the end of January, and there was $5 million in seed money for that. For you know, basically covering the costs of home improvements. And it went like this. There was so much demand that they're now they've basically subscribed the $5 million. But thanks to the IRA, I fully expect the Oakland Saves program and Oakland County government to have additional, you know, funding for those sorts of you know, costs. So I'm going to go into just let's see. I'm not sure if you can all read this, but I'm going to just give a couple you know, highlight a couple of these, because the tax credits are really astounding. So a lot of these is 30% of the cost of these projects can be covered, and some of them are capped at dollar amounts, and some of them are means tested, meaning like they're income based. So if you're lower income, you're available to you can access more of the funding. But we're talking like, you know, up to $2,000 per year for installing a heat pump, or a heat pump water heater, or geothermal, which can be quite expensive. And not only can you get that tax refund now for those projects, they also help you save money on your energy costs. What's exciting is the rebates that are coming from the state. So there's the tax credits like that you get the refund back. The rebates that are coming from the state as soon as this fall will be money discounted off the price of these improvements. Or, you know, you get a check directly from back after purchasing. So they're going to be available to a lot more things like appliances from, we'll see how they're structured. The state of Michigan is taking input on how these will be structured. But it's really exciting to be able to think about a cash rebate for e-bikes or for an induction stove to help people get their gas stoves out of their home, which are, you know, they've shown a lot of research recently that gas stoves are potentially as harmful as smoking inside your home in terms of air quality. And so these are projects that in a lot of cases need to be done anyway, and these rebates and tax credits can really help people be able to afford them. And I went through my own journey this last year of getting a heat pump water heater, upgraded my electrical panel, and the upfront cost was daunting. But knowing that I would get tax credits and knowing that my furnace was about to die anyway, and that my air conditioning had already died, I was like, I need to do this anyway. And I was able to, you know, go through Michigan Saves, which I'll talk about in a moment, and, you know, pay for all of that. And now I'm going to access these tax credits, and I would love to help you, you know, anyone that wants to, you know, do this journey yourself. I would love to work with you personally. So for renters, you know, if you rent, you already know that a lot of times you don't have a lot of control over, you know, what happens in your actual home, but there's still things that you can do as renters. And there's some great tools, and Rewiring America has some of the best tools, whether you're a homeowner or you're a renter. And I'll make sure that you all have these links. But Rewiring America has a kind of personal electrification planner that you can just kind of make your own personalized plan. And also, if you're a renter, you know, there are some tax credits available, but it's much more limited. But they have great tools to be able to talk to your landlord, so your landlord can see that it makes sense to make these improvements. And you can also learn and help others and become more knowledgeable about these improvements and about the you know, tax credits and rebates themselves. So for time, we're not going to do this, and also the calculator is going through some changes where there's some they're adding data, and so it's not working as well as I want. We don't really have time. But there's a savings calculator that you can literally enter on rewiringamerica.org, where you can enter in a few basic details and find out what you can earn as far as tax refunds and rebates. So it's really exciting. And the best way to, you know, approach a project is through Michigan Saves, which is a nonprofit. Actually the nation's first nonprofit green bank is Michigan Saves, and it's actually staffed by public sector consultants, a really well-respected you know, policy analysis firm in Lansing, and they have and this is how I found contractors and applied for financing and found lenders. And they have a really easy to use system that no matter what you're looking, small project to large project, you can find a contractor. I was able to find union contractors, because that's sometimes not always easy to find, but I was able to easily find union contractors and contractors that were familiar with electrification and wouldn't just point me to the default of gas, because that was really important to me. I'm gonna fly through this next part because I want to make sure that we have just time for discussion and questions, and also how to message. You know, how does polling show that talking about some of these can actually move people toward more support of, you know, realizing that the Biden-Harris administration has really had a strong track record, but there are community grant programs that are available for, you know, community projects. And so I just talked about the home, you know, the individual kind of residential tax credits and rebates, and that's what I'm so excited about this year because the rebates are coming out. But there are these community grants that are really critical, and there's environmental justice block grants that I think I just skipped over accidentally. The community change grants, which are on a rolling basis. And then I wanted to flag this one because it's really new, is the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund. And that was just announced. 8 entities were announced just this week. The vice president and made this announcement for with $20 billion handed out to establish this clean financing network. And so green banks like Michigan Saves, local credit unions, community development, you know, financing institutions will have money specifically for clean, green, sustainable projects. And then, you know, community members individually and groups can go out and get financing for those projects. And so that's really, really exciting. And I'm hoping that, you know, Oakland Saves, like Oakland County government, will benefit from that as well as some other grants. There's also, this is just a lot of detail about a Solar for All program for community solar that's coming out later this summer. And then, and this is another one that I'm really excited about because the Southeast Michigan Council of Governments, SEMCOG, and as well as the state of Michigan and some other entities have been working on a local Southeast Michigan climate pollution reduction plan. And they got some planning money through the climate pollution reduction grants. And now they have this plan for Southeast Michigan on how we can reduce our climate pollution and prepare for the impacts of climate change. The state of Michigan has their own, the Grand Rapids area and tribes. And so this plan is out there. You can read it, and now they're going to go after some competitive dollars to bring that back here in Southeast Michigan. And so that's really exciting to me as well. And then finally, there's clean electricity tax credits for really, that's really for the utilities, honestly, to improve the grid. And we need that, so, but it's not as relevant to, I would say, local community groups, individuals. And those same tax credits that are available to like the utilities to green up their grid are now available to even tax exempt organizations like municipalities, universities, schools, hospitals, those folks that don't have any that don't pay taxes, but they can get those, if they make the improvements, they can get the equivalent of those tax credits in a direct payment from the federal government. So that's huge if you're involved with any nonprofits, with universities, nonprofit hospitals, etc. And you know, I mentioned that this is all aligned, and a big reason we have, you know, a big reason why we were able to pass 100% clean energy legislation in Lansing last year was the potential to be more competitive with all these dollars. And we have really set a high bar here in Michigan, compared to states nationally for that law. And the investment combined with the law is really going to supercharge pollution reduction, lower energy costs, and more clean energy jobs. And so I kind of want to finish with, and then open it up for questions about this, but other issues as well. I'm happy to talk about anything, like I said. But, there's a lot of information that I just even ran through, and even that feels surface based on how many programs there are, how much money. So how do we talk about this in a way that people don't, glaze over? And I'm hoping you're not glazing over too today, because there's a lot. But what we've seen in polling is that, first of all, people still haven't heard much about the clean energy investments, which we're calling President Biden's clean energy plan or clean energy law. A lot of people have not heard about it. This was a little while ago, but 42% of Michiganders said they have no opinion or have not heard about it. However, approval for the plan jumps 24 points when they just get this basic information about the benefits. And you can see that this is kind of before people learn about the how to break down the approval and the disapproval. But really, on both sides of the political spectrum, people move strongly. And climate change also, we found, is not, I think there was a notion 10, 15 years ago that don't talk about climate change, it's just divisive. That is changing in a big way, and climate change is a winning political message, and we don't have to worry about it. But I will emphasize there are kind of specific pillars when it comes to the Inflation Reduction Act that is great to emphasize: lower energy costs, a stronger, more reliable grid, better health protections and reducing pollution, and creating good paying, often union, family sustaining jobs. And so it's kind of the bread and butter, but this is the largest investment that we've seen in our nation's history. And so we have additional resources that I'll make sure you get these slides, which all the links work and everything to take you to the different pages, so you don't need to worry about that. And then this is a lot too, and you'll have this slide as well, but there are local, state, and federal contacts that can help you navigate. And I'm here too to help you kind of navigate and get more information. But at each level, there are technical assistance advisors and people who are really knowledgeable about what benefits really apply in your community and apply to you personally. And so you're not alone in feeling like this is overwhelming. There's so much money. How do we decide on the best uses for it? But there's a lot of activity, and it's a great time to get involved on it, and an even better time to be talking about why it's important to all your great networks. And so detailed heavy presentation here today, but I hope it was helpful, and I hope it inspires you to start thinking about a plan for your own home. And where I started, and where I would recommend everyone start, is through Michigan Saves and schedule a home energy audit or home energy assessment, which, thanks to the IRA, the Inflation Reduction Act, you can get the cost of that paid for. And a lot of local communities actually offer home energy assessments for free. Start there, and they'll make a personal plan for you, and you can kind of pick and choose. Oh, okay, that looks really, putting solar on my house, maybe not a good fit. It's expensive, or my house isn't, but actually adding some more insulation can lower my energy, is the best way to lower my carbon footprint and make my house more comfortable and, you know, more efficient and save money on my energy bills. And so that's what I realized first is like, before I get any of this fancy electric appliances, I have a house from the 1960s. I just need better insulation in the attic and under the main floor. And that has, I have to go do the analysis from now to last year, but that combined with the heat pump water heater and my heat pump to do the cooling and air. I hardly pay a gas bill anymore, just for my gas stove and my gas dryer. But my gas bill has like dropped to almost nothing. And my part of it was the weather this winter. And we're losing our winters, which is another reason to take action on climate change. But my energy bill also dropped. And so already I'm paying back, and then I'm looking forward to my refund, and I can let you know what kind of refund I get after paying my taxes. So anyway, thank you for your time. I hope that wasn't too much time, Michael. But I would love to talk about any of this, as well as any other issues that might be on your mind, state, federal, environmental issues especially. Thank you. Yeah, and I'll just, as I see it, I'll just kind of move through the room this way.
Fund also encourage and benefit, encourage transit with trains in Michigan and.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. First of all, I would say, I didn't mention that this Inflation Reduction Act money really goes hand in hand with the infrastructure law. And the infrastructure law is where we're seeing a lot of the investment in our transportation infrastructure and our projects rolling out all the time. The hope is that a lot of these grant programs will incentivize cities and municipalities to move more investment and more of like a urban planning strategy towards public transit and just lower carbon transportation in general. And so the municipalities can get that direct pay if they lower their own carbon footprint. So it's really an incentive based system, and it incentivizes communities that take the initiative to build their own plan, and then they can apply to multiple different grant programs to get that funding, and they can kind of combine it.
It
Yeah.
does seem encouraging that I agree that there's transportation and to the airport or these things.
Yeah. I mean, I would say just from a personal perspective, we have a much bigger, and there's a lot of factors in a, high-speed transit network for the entire country where we're building out that. I don't know if there's, one single thing in the Inflation Reduction Act that does that, but certainly it incentivizes better transit, better walkability, better bikeability in communities, so that we're lowering our carbon footprint and just making, improving our quality of life and sustainability too.
Thanks. Natalie, I really appreciate you delivering this important message. Certainly climate change is a big issue, and I think it's going to get bigger. And I think it's important too that you really elaborated on, insulating one's home. We all like to think that we're good people and we can't possibly be part of the problem, but in fact we are. And insulation is really probably one of the best places where we could all start. I do want to ask you a question that might be a little bit tough. I think you're at the center of things and probably could shed some light. At the beginning of the campaign for renewable energy, it was renewable energy, and at some point it switched to clean energy. And this was to allow nuclear to be part of the process. Can you point to where that came from? How did this, because we're gonna have to contend with that waste for the next couple 100,000 years, the next 7,000 generations. And I'm not sure the billions of dollars that are gonna go over to Palisades nuclear plant are, are the appropriate use of our funds. So anyway, if you could shed some light, and then
Yeah,
that's a second question too, if you could elaborate on the SEMCOG grant, because,
Yeah.
I'm with the environmental, Royal Oak Environmental Advisory Board, everyone's just confused, like, what's happening with SEMCOG. So 2 questions there. If you could.
absolutely. Great questions. Could talk a lot about these. So what you were referring to is with the state energy law that we passed last year, the Clean Energy and Jobs Act. There was, as during legislation, details change, and through compromise and negotiation where you can get the votes. And so there were earlier versions of the bill that had, in our opinion, Michigan LCV's opinion, stronger definitions of what clean energy means, as well as, things like 100% renewable energy, dates, and those did change. And I would attribute most of that to, utility influence and pressure and the type of influence they have in Lansing. A lot of those change, but not just the utilities, not just our energy utilities, DT and our 2 big ones, DT and consumers. But I would say, different interests like, I think heavy industry, and there was some, and there are some legitimate concerns there, but not enough that those out years, in the 2030s, where we know from a science-based perspective, we need to, really eliminate fossil fuel generation. And then there's nuclear in terms of, we know the environmental impact of, we know the environmental risks are huge with nuclear. They do provide, in terms of that, at the generation, carbon free, but through the mining of uranium and through the whole life cycle, there is an impact there in terms of emissions. And I am personally uncomfortable with the amount of temporary, nuclear waste that we're storing on the banks of the shores of our Great Lakes. And however, we also need kind of a base load generation as we're making this clean energy transition to wind and solar, and that is happening very rapidly. But we also, so anyway, that's a long way of saying Michigan LCV's perspective was, let's not use taxpayer money for new nuclear. And as we're making as we're improving the investments in wind and solar, kind of continuing the nuclear generation that we have is one of those trade-offs that we may have. But then, what you were referring to with Palisades of, using a lot of taxpayer money at a lot of different levels to bring something back on. Personally, I would like to see that go to other, clean green solutions so that we have a more grid that has clean energy from a lot of different places. On your second question, which was SEMCOG, yes. So I'm probably not the expert on exactly what SEMCOG is doing, but so I'll give you a little more insight though into the process of what I think is happening. So SEMCOG, first of all, SEMCOG, and I didn't mention this, just got a grant, an environmental justice-based grant, $4.2 million, basically to set up their own local grant program for disadvantaged communities, for low-income communities, and for communities dealing with the extra burden of disproportionate pollution. So that was through one grant program that was just awarded this year. And so SEMCOG now has 4.2 million coming in to hand out and for environmental justice communities to apply for. So that's really exciting. And then with the climate pollution reduction grant, they're kind of the lead entity to make this regional plan of how here in Southeast Michigan, how can we reduce our climate pollution and also make improvements to our community that we need anyway. And so there was a whole planning process last year and into this year where they had public input sessions and they have a whole report and plan that they released just a couple weeks ago in March. Thanks to that money, they were able to do this planning. And now they've submitted it to the Biden administration where they can hopefully get money that's competitive to implement that. So that remains to be seen whether SEMCOG and some of the other folks will get the money to implement this plan. I'm really hopeful that they will be. We should know, I think, sometime this summer, or I could be wrong about the timing of it, but they have submitted it, and you can read it. I can pass along I haven't had a chance to date. It's like 80, 100 page plan or something like that. So I haven't had a chance to read it myself. But anyone can read it. It's out there now.
Great, thanks.
Go here and then Rep. Price.
Mine is a quick question. It might just be me, but how are you really saving money with an electric heat pump or electric water? Because you're still paying electricity and pay pretty much equal gas or electric right now.
Great question. Great question.
Someone goes out
Right.
ground wire.
Yeah, exactly. So the heat pumps are incredibly efficient. And I'm probably not the technical expert to exactly say how they work, but they are very efficient. However, I found this out through my own, kind of talking with the contractor and the company. There's a lot of different ways you can do it. I went with the all electric option where during those really cold days, which didn't actually happen this year, there was an electric, basically, what do they call it? Like electric strip heater that like kicks on to supplement. And that never kicked on for me, but that's where I understand it could be use more electricity. But I was able to keep my thermostat lower. Like I kept my thermostat generally at 64, 65, and that was like 65 was like too hot sometimes. So the insulation with the heat pump, we were very comfortable, and we didn't see a huge spike in we saw a little bit higher electrical bill, but we saw a lower gas bill.
So your total energy cost was less.
Yeah, I didn't do the analysis because again, I put this in last year, not even a year ago. So I need to like compare this month to last month. Probably start, I think I finished the project in, I want to say like June or July. And so I don't have like, the April or the March bill of last year to like kind of compare, but anyway, so you do see it does, and so it does depend on the electric rates, where you live and which utility. Our like I mentioned before, our electric rates are pretty high for the upper Midwest. And then reliability is an issue, but that's also why the state legislature has been taking action. The Michigan Public Service Commission has been taking action, and why we need even more accountability for DT to be investing in upgrading the grid rather than using it for politics and lobbying. And so there is that trade-off though, because I saw my gas bill go way down, and sometimes those gas prices really can fluctuate too.
Right.
Yeah. So Price, and then maybe we'll go in the back too.
Thank you for this presentation. Just like for me too. You mentioned community solar. I'd love for you to share a little bit about how community solar can help how it needs to be part of the picture.
Yes.
Here's some folks who can afford the upfront investment of rooftop. And you mentioned that there's a lot of community solar this summer. Can Michigan take advantage of any of that? And what should we do in the state to be able to use that?
Yeah. Yes. Great questions. So the benefits of community solar, I mean, you got at it, not everyone can put solar on their home, or renters may not be in the position. There's a lot of reasons why people might not be able to put solar on their home or on their business, on their building. And so but that doesn't mean communities should just have to accept, that we're not gonna have a lot of solar in the community, because it's a great tool. It provides extra resilience when those outages happen. Unfortunately, our state laws don't allow for this independent third-party development of projects where like a community or city or others can build a solar project on their own, kind of without DT, and then use that power. Yeah, exactly, and kind of create a microgrid, exactly. And so we had a lot of champions last year in Lansing working really hard to get legislation across the finish line to create a state community solar regime or program. And that didn't get over the finish line, unfortunately. And so that's number one, a huge advocacy opportunity that I would love everybody that cares about that to get involved with. Number two, we were pushing for that, team effort, pushing for that because the Biden administration's Solar for All program has $7 billion to support programs like that. And so there was a concern, and I still have a concern, that we are leaving money on the table, or we're not as competitive as other states that do allow for communities, third-party community solar. So we will see. We expect July to see or maybe even sooner, to see that those awards roll out and see how much we get. There's still the opportunity, my understanding from the state government, there's still an opportunity to get that, and the state does have a plan to get some of those Solar for All monies. And I'm also aware of local efforts, but unfortunately, I think a lot of them require local ballot activity to create a kind of municipal, I guess you could say like a parallel utility, where then your city can build a community solar field, and residents could opt in and be like, I want to opt into that community solar, and so you're getting some of your electrons from solar and you're doing your part. But then also it adds resilience. It helps create that microgrid in a community where they can make sure that there's some community solar plus storage, that battery storage, that energy storage has great potential for making our grid more resilient, so that when power lines do go down, when there's outages, that there are some backups. So thank you. And do our last question back there.
That was my question.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Any other burning questions? Yes.
How would the homeowner go about, if they want to get more installation?
Yeah, so my recommendation, home energy audit, a home energy assessment. And there are lots of companies that do it. I use the company just Ecotelligent, and I found them, actually I can't remember exactly where I found them. I think I found them on Michigan Saves, but michigansaves.org. They have this great find your contractor feature, and then you can sort through what type of project. So you can just click the button, installation. But I would start with a home energy audit, because a professional will come in, take a look at your installation and be like, actually your installation here looks really great. Here's where you could add insulation and get more bang for your buck. And that lays the groundwork for electric appliances, everything else. Like going into my home energy audit, I was like, my next thing is solar panels and electric vehicle charger in my garage. And I haven't bought that EV yet, but I want to. And they were like, you can, you know, you can save so much more money, first of all, and then you can like, really pave the way for those things if you do insulation and then upgrade your electric panel. Because my electric panel was maxed out. And so I needed to add, you know, I needed to upgrade that, and you can get a tax credit for upgrading your electric panel, thanks to the Inflation Reduction Act. And now I have room for, the heat pump water heater, and anything else that I want to do, from solar to a charger to a electric induction stove. And I'm a big foodie, and I really believe in that technology too. I got a little induction hot plate for like $110, and we use that 9 times out of 10. We just need to boil water. We just use our induction hot plate, and it boils water incredibly fast. Anyway, I'm overstaying. I could talk to you after for sure.
Does it for free.
Yes. Although I did do that. I'm hoping that they get better at it, because I was very disappointed with DT's. I'm not trying to just slam DT up here. But I was very disappointed. And they're not incentivized. They're a little more incentivized now, thanks to the Inflation Reduction Act, so they may have made some changes. They're not incentivized to give you a great assessment and a project list. They came in, any light bulbs that I didn't have that were LED, they did replace those, and then they gave me a strip power charger, what is that, power strip surge protector that turns off when you're not using it. So that was nice, so I don't have to like pull that, and honestly, that's it. They didn't give me a plan, I didn't get and so I went to Ecotelligent. They came in. I have this like to-do list for my home, like home improvement list, where it's like, okay, I did this, now I'm on this, and it's also kind of fun. So anyway, thank you for all the time. I really appreciate it. I'd love to stay in touch. Keep up the good work, stay involved. You are all the people that are going to make a better world and make sure that elections go in the way of positive change. So thank you.
And as we're in a major election this year and talking to our friends and neighbors of why vote for President Biden, one thing that really got to think about is when we elect Democrats, we have a Democratic president, we get the largest investment in climate history of all time. And very quickly on heat pumps, I got a heat pump last year. It is a little costly. It's like $5,000 around. They're not as popular in Michigan. You got $2,000 back. So it's much more affordable. And a Royal Oak, if you have a bungalow, it's a game changer. So I highly recommend that. For sake of time though, what we will do is let's kick it off with our Democratic Party board with William Asher.
Hi, I'm William Asher, the precinct delegate liaison for the Borough Area Democratic Club. And I too just got a heat pump last month. Waiting to analyze the results. I'll tell you next year. But it's great, it works wonderfully. A main thing is that we need to get precinct delegates in our precincts here in Royal Oak. It's a broken record. I know I've said this before many times. We have about 140 slots in our city, and we're about 25% subscribed. So if you haven't already signed up to be if you live in Royal Oak, and you have some time, not much, like between the primary and the election, we're looking like at 10 or 20 hours between the primary and the November election. If you have time and want to help ensure that we maintain our Democratic majorities in the State House and in we want to get majorities in the U.S. Congress as well. Please sign up. I have forms and they need to be notarized, and Tom Regan has volunteered to notarize them today. And there he is. You have something to say.
I have to leave promptly at noon, so if you need a form notarized today, just come over and do it right now.
Yeah. Anyway, I wanted to also remark that the Republican Party as I understand it, they require people to be precinct delegates in order to go to the state convention. So they incentivize the people to do that. They also, and this is what I've heard, I'm not 100% certain of this, they also pay a stipend to their precinct delegates, which really bugs me, because I think it should be a labor of love and not something that you're getting paid to do. But as a result, they do have a lot of precinct delegates. So anyway, ours is purely voluntary, and I think that's a better system, but we need to get volunteers to help us get the job done. Next thing is, there's a relational contact tool called WAVE, which the county organization of precinct delegates is pushing. It's kind of a neat tool. It helps you contact your neighbors. But the state party, the MDP, has not approved it, and they've asked us, the Royal Oak Area Democratic Club, to hold off on implementing it. So we are not rolling it out officially, but if any individuals feel strongly that they've heard about it and they want to have access to it, you can talk to me, and I can get you access to it, kind of unofficially. What the state party is pushing is a relational tool called Reach, which they haven't rolled out yet. I'm being patient, and Michael's being patient. I think we'll need it desperately after the election, after the primary, when we really are going to kick into full gear. So we'll have Reach, and we also have something called the MDP texting board, which I just learned about a few days ago. And as we get more information, we'll roll that out to people as well. It's a tool where you can send dozens or hundreds or thousands of text messages and then respond to the few that people actually respond positively to. So that's next important. More information. Last thing is that the 11th District Democratic Party produced at their expense through a union printer. They produced Biden buttons, Biden Harris, and we have some at the table there. If you didn't already pick one up, pick one up.
Cool. All right, so we're gonna open to the candidate section, and let's start off with Ellie. She's with Slotkin for U.S. Senate. Alyssa Slotkin, sorry.
Hi, everybody. I know the Congresswoman was here last June, I think. I was with her, so I recognize some faces in the room. I won't get into the whole spiel about who she is, why she's running. I am just here for petition signatures. So if you're willing to sign, I have them here. I'm trying to hit the max number, and I'm competing with my coworkers. So I would be honored if you would sign. I have two other quick things. So besides petitions right now, campaign is really gearing up. I'm sure you'll hear this from other folks, but the Biden team is starting to open offices. I know they have one office open in Madison Heights in the Plumbers Hall. And I think they have plans for some others in Oakland County. So that stuff's starting to ramp up. You can get signs and stuff out of those offices. And then two, we have a meet and greet in Novi next Saturday. If anybody's interested in driving over to Novi, the Congresswoman will be there. So it's just another opportunity to see her. If you're interested, feel free to just come up to me in the back.
Okay. Which candidate wants to be next? Well, question.
When you were here last, where did you select? I did. Oh, no, you did not. And we'll have a deal, like, if you think you may be signed, I prefer to be signed again, we can cross that. Yeah.
Hello, everybody. My name is Monika Sanford. I'm running for Oakland County Circuit Court Judge. Most of you I've met already. You signed my petition already. I will, for the people that I haven't met, I'll give you my really quick, because I know people wanna go. But this is going to be a family law seat. I've practiced family, criminal, and probate in Oakland County for 20 years. I was a social worker before I was a lawyer, so I have a master's in social work. I used to work for the Department of Health and Human Services doing foster care, abuse, and neglect cases. I've also had the privilege to work for the Oakland County Juvenile Drug Court as their defense attorney servicing juveniles who have substance abuse and mental health issues. I did that for 15 years and I stepped down in December so that I could run. As a family law seat, I've also had the privilege of doing divorces, child custody, child support, as well as I have had the ability to work on adoption cases and PPO cases. So I've had the experience of doing the full gamut of family law, and I'm trying to get on the ballot. I'm glad to say I've met my minimum. And so right now I'm just working on my overage, just to make sure that if anything is stricken, I still remain on the ballot. If there's anyone here that has not signed my petition, I have a petition here. Most of you already have, because I see all of and I see the nods. So anyway, thank you very much for your time. And those who haven't, if you would just let me know, or you're willing to sign, I would appreciate it. I won't send it through the aisles because most of you I've gotten you already, and I don't want duplications.
All right, we're going to take it off.
Good morning. I'm Natalie Price. I'm state representative for House District 5, which currently only includes one strong, beautiful precinct of Royal Oak. However, you may have heard some of the Metro Detroit districts have recently changed. And even though my district wasn't one of the ones that were directly challenged in federal court, my district was affected by the resolution of that challenge. So I just withdrew my candidacy in House District 5 in Lansing, and yesterday went and filed in Pontiac because my district for next term will be all Oakland County. Very exciting news. So I am giving up the Detroit portion of my district and the Oak Park portion of my district, and I am picking up Huntington Woods and then most of Royal Oak. So if you live in Royal Oak and your representative is currently Sharon McDonald, you will get to keep Sharon. Her district doesn't change. Great relief, I know. But if you have Helena Scott or Regina Weiss as your current representative, then I will be running in that seat. And I am very eager to use my time this summer focused in on the part of Royal Oak that I didn't have the ability, because I wasn't running in it, to get to know in the past. So my ask of you is, if you live currently in Representative Weiss or Representative Scott's district, and you haven't had a chance to connect with me, please do. I've got cards. I'd love to chat with you here. And also think about if you'd be willing to host me for a meet and greet in your neighborhood. If there are people that don't regularly come to the Democratic Club meetings that you think it would be good for me to connect with, get to know, I would really love the opportunity to do that. So, and then while I'm up here, if I could just do like my rep report. In Lansing, we are just finishing up our 2-week legislative break. For those of us who serve on appropriations, the budget subcommittees, we did not have a break. We got our targets right before the break, and we've been working hard on those budgets. So I serve on budget appropriations committees for school aid, K-12 funding, higher ed, right, community colleges and university funding, and then Department of Health and Human Services. We have been going through a series of public comments. Our last one is on Monday in Lansing, just allowing anybody from the public who cares about how these budgets are spent to show up and speak up. And if you cannot drive out to Lansing, and construction is horrible right now, we would not recommend, you can submit written comments to us as well. So we're compiling that. We are advocating to do the best that we can. I'm so proud of the budget that we did this last term. Some of the highlights: free breakfast and lunches for all K-12 students in public schools in Michigan,
We talked about some of the clean energy efforts that we did, paving the way for now, also doing appropriations for the policy changes that we made. That's a big focus for us this year. And oh, thank you to the folks at the county with their help, right? RIP medical debt, giving significant medical debt relief to many people. That was a big priority of mine as well. So those are the kinds of conversations that I'm having, things that I'm advocating for. My big kind of personal budget ask this year is, right now we don't give 100% disabled veterans who rent their homes the same tax credit that we give to 100% disabled veterans who own their homes. Very strange, I know, but that was a huge policy push for me. We got it through the House, and now we need the appropriation commitment to be able to get it through the Senate. So I'm spending a lot of time and energy making the case that this is something that we need to do to show our renters, folks that are disabled, veterans, widows are included, right? That we're gonna be investing in them, that we care about that sacrifice, and that we want them to have a tax credit that homeowners get. So if you want to talk to me about that or anything else, I'll be around after the meeting. Thank you. Yeah, I would love
I
to
just
speak.
wonder, do you have any primary opponents?
Not that I know of in my new district. I had a primary opponent in the 5th who also lives in the new 5th. So I don't, unless he moves, I don't expect him. And then there is a primary opponent, who is currently filed for the 6th, but he lives also in the new 5th. So unless he moves, I don't expect him. So not, no, fingers crossed. Yeah.
Do you need petition signed?
Good question, petition signed. We, unlike the judges, have the ability to file with just the $100 filing fee. And that's what I did, partly because of all these unknowns. Like, if I had to get all those petitions between now and I find out what my district was last week and the filing deadline, ooh, that would have been rough. That being said, you may see me out at events this summer, gathering signatures for other things, because I do think collecting signatures is just a great way to connect with people. So 2 years ago, right, I was just out at events collecting signatures for Reproductive for All, because it's a nice way to connect and get to know people. So if you see me collecting signatures this summer, it's not for my own campaign, but it's for other great efforts that we all agree in. Yeah.
Natalie, I've been hearing that public transportation is getting shortchanged in the budget. Can you elaborate?
So public transportation is a big priority for me and many of my colleagues. Jason Morgan and Mike McFall just formed a public transit caucus in Lansing, which I was thrilled to join on to and be a part of. I am following their lead in terms of the best way for me to invest my energy and political influence to make as much progress in that area as possible. Here in our area of Metro Detroit, we know the need and we can see the benefits. As we're seeing Oakland County roll out the great efforts that they did to increase public transit, we're seeing the benefits. So I will continue to champion that one.
Can I raise an easy question?
Sure.
So once the map is changed, only you, Representative McDonald, will be the 2 royal health candidates, correct?
I don't know about candidates, it might be private, but if we win and advance and continue to represent, we will be the 2 representatives for Royal. Yes.
Thank you so much.
Morning, everybody. I'm Judge Andy Kowalkowski, and serving in the 44th District Court for Royal Oak and Berkeley. I'm on the ballot in 2024 to retain the seat that I was appointed to. I came today, I know I've been to a lot of meetings talking about our exciting programs. I really just wanted to announce that we have a open house coming up April 24th. I brought flyers, they're back there when you walk in. April 24th, our portions is 7:30 to 8:30. The police department is also going to have an open house 6:30 to 7:30. We'll be talking about all the programs that we're super proud of. I know the police department has some great programs too. Thank you to Monika Sanford. Really, since I was appointed, trying to get this going, and Monika got involved, and now it's all going. So thank you for that. And I'm excited. Hopefully, everyone can be there April 24th, and we'll go into more detail. There'll also be a question and answer section there, so we can go into some detail about programs if anyone has any questions, but I'll be on the ballot 24, so for you there. Thank you.
Any other candidates that I missed? If not, we'll move to elected officials. We'll start with Mr. Woodward, Oakland County Chair and Commissioner.
Hey. All right. It's truly exciting. We're going into election year. Democrats can always use a little bit of help on the messaging front. A lot of the great things we talked about, the IRA and other things, we have to link it back to the president. I'm literally meeting with CNN tomorrow, it's maybe Monday, and they're talking about like, well, all this wonderful stuff, the Oakland Saves program, it's like that was funded by apartment owners. But do they know that's because President Biden and the Democrats in Congress passed it? And I'm like, we tried. It literally is the line I had in every press conference. Thanks to President Biden and the American Rescue Act, we're able to do the following things. And I think it's a reminder that as a county, we've moved faster than any other county in the nation. And then I check myself, I call the National Association County, I keep saying this, prove me wrong. And it's true. I mean, we were able to get $245 million allocated. We were the first to allocate all of it. We put it on the program the moment we got it. What I find ironic is, frustrating, that every member of Congress a Republican member that represents the part of Oakland County has taken credit for the things that we funded, for the things that they didn't vote for. We're seeing this on infrastructure programming, and we're seeing this, we're going to see increasingly more on the energy efficient programs. So I think it's really important as Democrats to continue to lift up. So as for candidates' job and responsibility to show the link there, because what it comes down to is electing Democrats to enact a policy and do what's right and necessary to make life better with people. And that's what we're doing. That's just this week, our county executive Dave Coulter delivered his State of the County address. You'll see some people who were in the room that were there. Aside from just giving the last year report of all the things that we've been able to do, I'll highlight just a couple of them. The thing that changed the speech, the traditional speech that's given by our county executive, regardless of who was in the office, that lifts up the coveted AAA bond rating and fiscal responsibility. Something that Executive Coulter mentioned. We don't secure and do what's necessary to keep that AAA bond rating just for the sake of it. We do it so that we can leverage it to borrow at lower rates so that we can invest in people and communities. And to be able to make that connection, I think that's the difference that we're seeing across the county. And if you haven't seen the speech, I encourage you to go online and watch it. If you did, I think you would agree that he made an incredible case of why we should keep Democrats in office, because good things happen. That's the conclusion, the quick summary of the speech. A couple, just a little, highlights. I was going to talk about the Open Saves program. It's, one of my babies, and it went so faster than we all thought it was going to in terms of the resources that were available. More than 1,100 people getting permanent energy cost reductions as for the rest of the time. Lowering the cost of living for working people across this county. We're already in the process of looking at how we allocate CDBG dollars, and can we roll those monies into it, double, triple, and provide an annual investment because of the huge success of that program. Transit, it's one of my favorite topics, and another one of my prized policies, championships. Again, the county executive speech lifted up the stories and powers. The Holly supervisor was one of the staunchest critics that fought us during the entire campaign, said no one here needs it, said why can't you get a family member to take you to the doctor, and we just said they're wrong, and lifted up the story of these two older women that literally accomplished freedom and hope as a result of being able to get places to go to the restaurant. This is what I'm reminded by my seniors who are big senior transit advocates. Like, yeah, getting the doctor, the grocery store, and the beauty salon is important, but we're not dead. And we would like to be part of society and do things. And it's a demonstration that we're able to do that. Every transit agency running in Oakland County is seeing double-digit increases in utilization, proving when you make transit better, more people use it, they get to the place, more destinations, they get things done. People remember the Walking Man story, Mr. Roberson, the Free Press store got national attention. The 20 miles that we have to walk each day to work. He lived in Detroit, he worked in Rochester Hills. April 22nd, for the first time ever, there will be a fixed bus ride that will go from Detroit, from the fairgrounds, all the way up to Rochester Hills and to Oakland University.
Oh,
It started on
wow.
April 22nd. It was paid by the village. That on the way, that's the planners, trust the planners to do their job, like, okay, that's what we're gonna do. It connects to our transit center here in downtown Royal Oak. So downtown Royal Oak and Rochester will, downtown will be connected for the first time with transit. It's the first new line expansion in over 40 years.
Wow.
Whoa.
I'm gonna talk about one other thing, because elections have consequences, and some of you might have read previous mentioned, the way that our Oakland County Board of Candidacies, when we talk about democracy, the way that they're selected, there are 2 Democrats and 2 Republicans. The county, the congressional districts nominate 3 people. So Oakland County uniquely is actually the only county in Michigan that has 5 members of Congress represent portions of it. So each of those congressional districts come together and they make a recommendation of 3 people. The Democrats, a list of 3, the Republicans, a list of 3. Our Democratic members of that board have they've been serving for a number of years. They do a great job. Historically, the Republican members are past clerks and the township clerks, city clerks, and they own them. Well, some of you might remember last presidential election, Wayne County, CNN, Fox, everyone was watching it. Like, they were debating not certifying an election. Without any evidence that there was anything wrong, is largely a ministerial role. Your job is to make sure that all the poll books match, the numbers match, and the math matches, produce the results, send it up to the state board to be able to certify their respective election. Donald Trump and his MAGA Republicans are doing everything possible to stop certification of elections, lawful elections. And so this new wave of Republican leaders at these congressional levels put forth a list of people, the most unqualified people to serve in any public committee. And then we were kind of like, it fell on my plate, like, what are we gonna do? And my colleagues, and I talked to my Republican colleagues, and we have never had a problem. The Republicans, we asked our Republican caucus, identify the best person in this group, the Democrats vote for that person and vice versa. We couldn't do it this last time because these members were publicly saying things that the election was stolen, it's a fraud, everything's wrong. And to put them in a position of authority to certify our county elections was like, yeah, we can't do that. So we decided, like, well, we use the public pressure to move some of these people from their warped reality to what really is true and just. We asked, we sent them 5 questions. Give me your bio, why you serve, are you a felon? Or insurrections. No, we couldn't answer that question, but it was related to the felons and stuff. So we're not dead. But 2 other questions. Who won the presidential election in 2020? And was the election in Oakland County? They couldn't answer the question of who won. They were like, they didn't answer or couldn't answer, which makes you unqualified, which is why our state partners, that we're gonna need some help changing this law because we cannot be locked into being forced. What made it more troubling is that the 5 congressional districts, about 4 of the 5 individuals don't even live in Oakland County, pushing for these most right-wing individuals. Christina Corona, allies, and it was the most bizarre thing. The good news, we held the line for the first time in history. We brought the vote forward, and none of the Democrats voted, and some of the Republicans didn't vote for their members either. And they got 4 votes, I think. So you need 10. And so as a result of that, there's a new process that happens afterwards. Basically, the county party chair puts forth a list of 3 members, and we reached out to Vance Patrick, who's a Republican, doing the work of his party and doing things, but fortunately put forth at least one different name, and that was a name that Lisa Brown felt comfortable filling the seat in the interim. But we're going to have, right now, it doesn't really matter this much because there were 3 proven members, 2 Democrats, 1 Republican, that's always done their job. They work together, they circulate the chairman role. They do an incredible amount of work to certify those elections. And even if we had one that didn't do so well, we could function and get an election certified this presidential. Fortunately, this individual, there was a recount of one of the questions that was on the last city election, and I had the opportunity to observe her role. And all 4 of them, I can say that these are people who understand their statutory and constitutional responsibility. They're doing it, and they're in a good position. That being said, every 2 years, we got to put new county board of canvassers forward. And so we're going to have to change the law to make certain that some level of qualification has to be met. We got to, I think, frankly, these congressional districts and these MAGA Republicans have demonstrated they're not capable of putting forth qualified individuals. And I haven't figured out all the details, but I mean, if you've been a municipal clerk and has been able to do your job well, whether you were a Democrat or a Republican, you are eligible to do this job. Things like that, I give the county clerk as well as the board ability to evaluate or at least expand the pool of people to be considered. So that's something, not to scare everybody, we're good right now, but looking to the future, we'll be doing this process here. So we probably need to change the state law, and hopefully Trump's going to be Trump. He's going to do what he's going to do, but we will win here in Royal Oak and in Oakland County, and we're going to put Joe Biden into the White House for another 4 years. So
That's right. Yes.
We're good. All right. Thank you.
We're so lucky to have such a strong county and board of commissioners, and we're also lucky to be joined by our city commissioners. So our city commissioner wants to step on up and give us an update.
Thanks, Mike. I'll be quick. I mentioned this last month and I will keep mentioning it because we are keeping an eye out for a petition initiative that's going on mostly on the west side of the state called Axe My Tax. This is a group that wants to eliminate property taxes in Michigan, which we all know would devastate local government, devastate our public school system. They keep saying that, well, the state will make it up through other forms of tax and income, and somebody actually in their Facebook group said something about a $3,000 fee for a driver's license renewal. So, I'm just asking if any of you spot anybody circulating petitions for Axe My Tax, A, don't sign, B, please let me know. Thank you. Just a quick follow-up on the program that Andrew Kowalkowski spoke about, Royal Oak Justice Open House, which is April 24th from 6:30 to 8:30. We wanted to call it Law and Order.
Dun.
But in addition to all of the programs that Andrew Kowalkowski spoke about, also hear from Chief Moore and some of the police officers in our local police department here at Royal Oak. They're going to talk about the crisis intervention team and the quick response team. And I know most of you heard about the event that happened in Royal Oak a few weeks ago that shut down a portion of Royal Oak due to someone having a mental health crisis. In addition to our partners over at Oakland County who came in to help de-escalate that issue. Our crisis intervention team really played a huge role in that. So you'll hear about some of the programs that the police department has as well that helps keep our community safe. That was put on by, will be hosted by the Community Engagement Board, formerly the Crime Prevention Council. Sorry, thank you. And the Crime Prevention Council or the Community Engagement Board is also putting on the Royal Oak Block Party, which will be June 5th, Market Capital, June 5th from 6 to 8 in the Royal Oak Farmers Market parking lot. There'll be games for kids, food trucks, you'll learn about how to keep yourself safe, how to keep your community safe. There'll be monster advanced action there that will assist with gun safety issues, gun locks will be provided. So mark your calendars for that. Any questions about it? Great.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Earth Month. Thank you for being here today. I wanted to mention that Royal Oak is going to have an Earth Day event. It's in your agenda, but it's April 20th from 3 to 7. At 3 o'clock, there's going to be some great speeches. Lots of speakers, but some of them are Oakland County Executive Dave Coulter, Senator Mallory McMurrow, and Attorney General Dana Nessel. There's also going to be some teaching, so you can learn more about food waste reduction and public transportation policy. And we have 30 vendors to be there to help you on your environmental journey. One of them being eco-intelligence that will help you have your home more efficient. So please come out for that. The other thing I would like to mention is that all of us participate in the Michigan Municipal League's training programs. And me and Commissioner Cheatham have been asked to join, or we're doing the Women Elected Leadership Intensive. And this was born out of a program that they have called 1650. Women make up over 50% of the state population, but 16% of Michigan municipal managers are women. And so this is just an opportunity for us to learn and also to network. And we know that Royal Oak really values female leadership. But this also benefits our city because we're learning how to make good policy be effective, and that benefits all of us. So I just wanted to mention that we're participating in that, and so we won't be, it's like 6 weeks and then a Saturday, so we won't be at our next meeting. But we're still working for Royal Oak, even though we're not.
There seems to be a pollinator park on 13 in Maine. I saw it in the newspaper. You know, very happy with that.
Again, we approved that part. So I believe that we'll be starting that this spring, summer. We'll be approving that part, yeah.
Did it get its name, get renamed?
I don't know.
We sometimes send a competition, either the children or the populace here, to rename that park.
I don't know the details, yeah. But they're gonna have one.
Yeah.
I mean, we know the update, but I don't know how to participate in that. Like, yeah, right now it's just like 13 in May park, so.
Like we said, you know. City's website.
I know.
Any other questions for our commissioners? Right.
All right, we'll kick it off for our school board. Sharlan, Tim.
Yay.
Hold my close to.
So kind of keeping with the theme of giving credit where credit is due, I'd be remiss if I didn't say that the Mike Harrison administration had given a huge influx of funding to schools to help with COVID, pandemic relief, right? We were able to make HVAC improvements, we were able to hire counselors, we were able to have a whole list. Yeah, all kinds of things. Yeah, safety improvements, all sorts of things that have been bolstering our students and helping them recover from the pandemic. I also wanted to just kind of put out there that there's a big event Monday. The eclipse is happening on Monday. And so just as a community, if we could be mindful of the fact that schools dismiss right about the time that it will be darkest. And so if you can just be mindful as you're going about your day in the community that kids maybe, getting stuff in the dark, walking home, that sort of thing. So just, watch out for our kids. Okay, thank you.
Other than this, we have, is this loud enough? It's fine, I'm too quiet for Andrew to talk. But we have narrowed down our principal search at the high school to 3 candidates. The superintendent's going to talk to those candidates next week. She's checking their references. And she expects to have a recommendation for the board probably sometime near the end of April. So we had, I believe, nearly 50 candidates applied for that position, which is fantastic. I mean, I think it shows the strength of our district that we have 50 people who want to come here and be our new high school principals. And that process took place last week. And like I said, we should have a principal appointed by the end of the month. Do we have any questions for us?
Well, I guess in the section, I know there were a few vacancies on the school board. Have you guys had enough folks who are running for office where it's not an issue, or do you still have a vacancy?
The only answer I can provide is my petitions have been submitted to the county clerk. So right now, I've been the only official candidate in November. I know that Eric Alexander is circulating her petitions, and that's all I can speak to right now.
Thank you.
All right, a few quick reminders. For next month, Memorial Day Parade, the club is marching. We'll be with our banner. We welcome members. We welcome elected officials who want to join us. But the biggest thing is we want to make sure going to this election year that folks know what the Royal Oak Area Democratic Club is. It's a short walk. Please join us, and we'll send out details closer to that. Some folks may be aware we adopted Cummington Park in Royal Oak. We will be doing a cleanup very soon. I'll send out an email with the dates. But again, it's very nice, casual spring day. So help us clean up the park that we've adopted. Lastly, for our bar night, Carl's done such a great job. We've been going around. But again, bar night's a great way to just meet fellow club members very casually and talk about politics, whatever you want to talk about. But the next one will be April 18th at 7 o'clock at Bar Louie. We hope to see you there. Again, if you want to be a precinct delegate, we have William, we have Tom. Make sure the deadline's coming up. And otherwise, can I get a motion to adjourn? Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Can I get a, those in favor?
Yes.
All right, thank you guys so much. We'll see you next time.